Do you guys remember those old videos I did literally 2 years ago where I took a look at some MLP concepts that I wrote a long time ago, right at the end of Season 8, Season 9 of My Little Pony? Like, it was right at the end of Season 8, right before Season 9 started of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I had wrote out like 8 episode ideas for things I would have loved to see in Season 9, stuff that I kind of almost theorized would happen in Season 9. But they ultimately never did, so I ended up making videos about them and kind of talking about them and stuff like that. I did 2 videos on that, and in those 2 videos, I shared 2 concepts each, so you can go back and watch those. I'll leave a card in the top right for that. I might even make a playlist for these, because I'm probably going to do a few more of these, and may even do some for Generation 5. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see any of that. But for now, let's take a look at this one right here. This would have been the 5th concept idea that I had for Generation 4. Something I had hoped to see in Season 9. But anyway, this episode, the idea of it, the concept of it, the title of it was Family Ties. It was going to be an Applejack and Pinkie Pie episode. And I actually had like the entire cold open written and everything. So the episode starts with Pinkie Pie and Applejack. They're doing something together on the farm, most likely baking some stuff or something like that, when we cut to a mysterious and ominous figure approaching the farm at night, because this is just happening at night. And then we cut back to Pinkie Pie and Applejack, and they're still working on these pies or these cupcakes or whatever like that. And then this knocking happens on the door, and so they answer it, and we finally get to meet Howard Tie, an Earth pony with a fancy tie and a fedora. The name necessarily doesn't matter, but he does have to have a fancy tie and fedora. It's important, just trust me on that. He tells them that he's excited to finally meet his cousin, and then we start the intro. Now, after the intro, Howard invites himself in while admiring the Western style until he notices a mess of frosting and stuff from where Applejack and Pinkie Pie were baking. Obviously, he kind of just invites himself in. They weren't really able to really say a whole lot more, and he just kind of forces himself in and stuff like that. He expresses disgust towards all of these, all this frosting and stuff like that from where Applejack and Pinkie Pie were baking and stuff like that. He expresses disgust towards it, and Pinkie Pie is offended, and Applejack demands to know what is going on and who he is and stuff like that. He introduces himself as Howard Tie and shows Applejack the family tree scroll from the earlier episode and explains he's Applejack's cousin. So if you don't know, there is an episode of My Little Pony in Generation 4 where there's like this scroll or whatever like that, and at the very bottom of it, it seems like maybe Pinkie Pie is cousins to Applejack, and it's kind of, it was never like fully expressed if it was true or not, because they could never actually prove it in the show. So the idea, the concept of this is we finally get closure on that, if whether or not they're cousins. And so he shows them this scroll, and it's basically the same scroll as we saw in that episode, except it's actually like a good version of it. It's not like scribbled or like written weird or anything like that. It very distinctly shows that Howard Tie, the Tie family, is cousins to them. Now, Applejack argues that it says pie, not tie, but Howard takes another family tree resource and proves that he's really the cousin and not the Pie family. Applejack doesn't know what to say, and the rest of the Apple family shows up shortly afterward. Howard hugs them and greets them. They're obviously confused, but Howard explains everything to them. Howard explains everything, then insists that Applejack show them around town, and so they reluctantly agree, and while showing him around town, he critiques everything until he's finally shown the Rarity's boutique. Rarity's little boutique. He likes all the clothes and everything, and then he meets Rarity, who offers to make him a new tie. Howard doesn't accept it and compliments Rarity before asking to be shown another place in Ponyville. Howard spends the night at the farm, and the next day Applejack is asked to meet with the rest of the main 6 at Rarity's boutique, learning on arrival that it had been trashed overnight. Rarity is distraught, and the others promise to find out who did it, and Howard offers to help Rarity catch back up on the orders that were ruined. Howard also says that he will be staying in Ponyville, opening a tie shop soon, and that he wants to incorporate some of her designs in tie form. Rarity says that her designs wouldn't work as ties, and they continue to work on fixing everything. It fades to another day, and Rarity delivers some clothes to some pony, then thanks Ty for helping her out fixing everything up. He tells the pony that they delivered these goods to about his shop in Ponyville that will be opening soon. Then they return to Ponyville where Howard shows off his new tie shop to Rarity and says it will open tomorrow when his ties arrive. It's right across the street from Rarity's boutique and is similar in structure as well, which Rarity doesn't very much appreciate. Howard tells her there will be plenty of customers for them both. In the morning, they all discover that Sugar Cube Corner has been broken into and all the baking supplies were stolen or destroyed, pots and pans included. So that was like different acts here. Now we're in another act here, possibly the final act here, where Howard helps Pinkie Pie and the cakes by cleaning and collecting new baking supplies with them. But while doing so, he tells the ponies he runs into about his tie shop that opens tonight. The main six go to his opening and there's tons of ponies and it goes really well. Afterwards, Applejack congratulates Howard on the success and he admits it was only possible because of the other shops having to stay closed to fix all the issues with whoever broke into them. Applejack realizes that's true and suspects he may have been responsible, so she tells him that when they open back up in the morning, it may hurt his business and wishes him luck. Later in the night, Howard breaks into Rarity's boutique and is caught by Applejack and the rest of the main six. Applejack expresses how disappointed she is to be related to such a lying crook, and Howard apologizes, saying that he had to do it because there wasn't any way he could have kept his business running, and that his business has failed dozens of times before. Twilight forgives Howard and gives him the idea to move to the town Starlight, brainwashed, and make ties there. He does so, and their help, and his business does super well there. Now, this story, it had an alternative version of it where I had a couple of different alternative versions to this episode, actually. One where Howard just keeps making changes on the farm and nearly ruins Sweet Apple Acres with his stylistic choices. And the other alternative is that Howard is the father of Flim and Flam, and he tries to manipulate Ponyville into buying merchandise that Flim and Flam made. But we don't know that until it's revealed at the very end of the episode or whatever like that, right? I think both of these alternatives keep the same idea of Howard Ty being the true relative to Applejack instead of the Pie family, but all three of these versions would be very, very, very different episodes, and they could be episodes all by themselves. So yeah, that's the story pretty much. I know it's a little bit short and stuff like that, but I really love this idea. I'm not the biggest fan of like Applejack and everything like that, but it always kind of upset me that we never got closure on whether or not Pinkie Pie was actually related to them or not, especially when you have that weird thing where like Big Mac was like crushing on Marble Pie. Keep in mind too that like technically the story is going on the idea that they're cousins, or most likely cousins. So it was a super weird thing to have Applejack and Marble Pie have like this weird almost relationship type thing. It was super weird and I did not like it, and that was one of the things that made me really, really, really hope they weren't actually related and that it would be revealed in the future. And I think part of that is probably why I ended up writing this version of the story where this Howard Ty guy is related to them and the Ty family is related to the Applejack family, and I think that's like a funny thing. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions on this episode idea, family ties, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to be doing another one of these soon, maybe next week or the week after, something like that. I really want to just go through all of these because this is the 5th one here, so it would be nice to go to the 6th one, 7th one, and 8th one with all of you. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see that, but most importantly, like, subscribe, share, and do all those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful for yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful. Ready? This way. Oh, I gotta piggyback. I thought it was like just a regular door.